All right. Hey, you guys. So, this is either Friday because you're with Miss Pittman or Monday, but I hope you're having a good day. So, you four, remember on Power during our standards labs, we started reading some more chapters in our book, Tears of a Tiger, but we only read the locker room conversation, which is chapter 2. All right. Remember, we all did that together. We've been talking about P.I.E. So, ask yourself, what does P.I.E. stand for again? That P is persuade, inform, or entertain. So each chapter in this book, the author had a reason behind doing that, right? There's a reason that they formatted it that way. They used that wording. They included those characters. So we need to figure out what is the purpose behind it, all right? So for today, what you need is your book, and you need the handout that we started last week. And so I gave these to Ms. Pittman, all right? So make sure you get this from her. And so we're going to do chapter 3 and 4 today so that we can finish that and get you guys caught up with the other group, all right? So in your book, go ahead and turn to page 8. And the title of this one is, Oh No, It Just Can't Be. All right, so this is page 8. So follow along with me. These chapters, again, are really short, you guys. So we're going to walk through it. But ask yourself, too, like when I'm looking at this page, all right, does this look like a newspaper article? No, not quite. All right. But this looks really similar to chapter 2 that we read yesterday. So that means, what are the characters doing in this chapter? They're talking to each other back and forth. So when you see these little dash marks, that means it's a new person talking every time. All right. So it goes back and forth between two characters here. So it says right here, oh no, it just can't be. Phone calls November 7th, 11 p.m. So think of the date. What date did they play the game? What date did the newspaper article come out? And now we have phone calls going on November 7th, 11 p.m. So this is after the basketball game, after those boys went out and drove around and hung out and started drinking. So this is the night of the accident. So we don't know exact timing of the actual accident, but we do know in this chapter, this is 11 p.m., so now it's getting pretty late on that night, all right? So it goes back and forth. We have two characters, Keisha and Rhonda, so the two ladies that we learned about last time we were together in chapter 2. So we know that Keisha is dating, you remember which boy? Andy, all right? Rhonda, somebody has a crush on Rhonda. Do you remember who? Tyrone. All right, if you guys got those, bonus points. Good job. So this is a conversation. The girls are talking back and forth to each other, all right? So I'm just going to read like I'm the ladies. Follow along on your book. So I'm going to start right here. Let's do it, all right? Hello, may I speak to Keisha, please? Keisha, this is Rhonda. Sit down, girl. There's been an accident. Some lady who works at Good Sam with my mother called her a few minutes ago and told her that they had just brought in some kids from Hazelwood, basketball players, she thinks. Oh, Rhonda, I just called Andy to find out what was taking him so long. He was supposed to be here an hour ago. There's no answer at his house. I was going to kill him. You don't think it was Andy, do you? I don't know, Keisha. I called Robert's house and all I got was that stupid recording. But then that's all you ever get when you call Rob. All right, so now I'm at the very top of page 9. What about Gerald? He usually hangs out with him after the game. I'll call him, and then I'll call you right back, okay? All right, so now she dials Gerald. Gerald, this is Keisha. Have you seen Andy? Nah, I went home right after the game. But Andy and Rob, and I think Tyrone and BJ too, left together in Andy's car. Andy said he was coming by your house after he took those clowns home. He ain't there yet? Well, if he calls you, tell him to get in touch with me right away, okay? Hey, you haven't heard anything about an accident, have you? Why is it the first thing a girl thinks about if her boyfriend is late is that he's been in an accident? I bet he's in the back seat of his car, kissing all over some real sexy mama. Ugh, all you fellas are like worthless. Call me if you hear anything, okay? Sure, later. Click. All right, hang up at that phone. So now, she dials Rhonda again. Hello, may I speak to Rhonda? Rhonda, is that you? This is Keisha. I hardly recognize your voice. Have you heard anything? Rhonda, what's wrong? Oh, Keisha, it's terrible. There was a crash and the car exploded, and my mother's friend, she thinks at least one of the boys was killed, maybe more. She said the police, and I'm on page 10, she said the police officer came in with the ambulance, told her that the car involved in the accident was a red Chevy. Isn't that what Andy drives? Oh my God. Rhonda, I've got to go. I'll get my mom to drive me to the hospital. Oh, please let them be okay. I'll call you from the hospital. Hang up. All right. Call back again later. So it keeps giving, every time there's like a bigger break in the page, it means that they hung up and something happened. So some time has passed. So it's getting pretty late into the night now. Maybe it's even past midnight at this point. Rhonda, me again. I'm here at the hospital. It's Robbie Washington. He's dead. Oh, Rhonda, he died in the accident. No, Andy, BJ, and Tyrone are okay. Tyrone and BJ have already been sent home. Andy has been admitted, but he's not seriously hurt. Rhonda, what are we going to do? I've never known anybody who died before, except my grandmother, and she was old. Oh, Keisha, this is so scary. I don't know how to deal with it. Have you talked to Andy? No, they wouldn't let me in there, but I saw him through the door. He looked bad, not injured, but his eyes looked funny. I guess he was in shock. I've got to go now. My mom is taking me home. I'll call you tomorrow. Bloop. Hang up. All right, so that's the end. That's page 10. That's the end of our chapter with the girls' conversation back and forth. So imagine you have the girls that aren't in this car accident, and they just heard that their boyfriend or people that they're interested in, their friends, have been in this horrific car accident, and so they're all calling around trying to find out what's happening. So think if you've ever been in a situation like that where, like, you were worried about somebody and you hadn't heard from them in, like, your texting or your phone calls, and so all of a sudden you're, like, freaking out and panicking because you want to make sure that they're okay. All right, so now what you guys need to do, we just finished the chapter. So now in our handout, you need to be on the back side, and it says the title, Chapter 3, Oh No, It Just Can't Be. And so we did this yesterday together in Power. Genre, type of writing. So the first one, is this a letter? Is it a character dialogue? Is it a poem? Is it a newspaper article? Or is it character thoughts? So like one character thinking about something. So go ahead and circle whichever kind it is. Then, author's purpose. So this particular chapter, is it to persuade us? Is it to inform us? Or is it to entertain us? And write your answer right there. And then explain in detail how you know that that is the correct answer. All right, so you were doing this one for chapter 3 and complete all of the boxes. All right, so now you guys, all this reading is getting me tired. Oh my goodness. Ugh. You guys are making me do all the work. All right, now let's move on. We're going to go to, so chapter 4 is this one. It's on page 11, and it's titled Memories of Fire, Tyrone's Statement to Police. And notice the date right here, November 8th. So is that before the accident or after the accident? And I want you to look back at the other chapters. So start looking at the dates of everything. So if this is November 8th, the girls talked to each other on the phone November 7th, that really late at night, right? So November 8th is the morning after the accident happened, all of a sudden. All right, and it says Tyrone's statement to police. So Tyrone, we know, is one of our characters that was in the car. Do you know where he was sitting? See if you can figure that out, and I'll ask you next week. All right, so Tyrone's statement to police. This is him officially answering questions, because think about it, whenever there's a car accident or like an incident that happens, police need to write a full report and get as much detail as they can from witnesses or people that were in the accident themselves to get details while it's fresh in their brain, okay? So to start us off, it says, Tyrone Mills, my name is Officer Casey, and I'd like to ask you a few questions. I understand you were in the car involved in the accident last night. I know you are upset, but it is necessary that we complete this report while the facts are still fresh in your mind. I'd like for you to tell me, in as much detail as possible, what happened last night. All right, so I'm still on the very beginning, page 11 of this chapter. So I just read what the police officer said. Then right here, you see a new little dash mark. So now from here forward, it's going to be Tyrone explaining the accident. So we're about to get a lot of detail here. All right, so follow along in your book, listen along, and let's see what really happened that night. Well, the game was over about 9:30, and we was all in a good mood because we won big by something like 40 points. So we was going to celebrate. Me and BJ and Andy and Rob. We left after we all got changed. Gerald was going to come with us. Yeah, Gerald Nickleby. But he had to go home. His stepfather beats. Now I'm on page 12. His old man is real strict. So it was just the four of us. Nah, BJ, don't play on the team. He's too short, but the four of us hang together. We've been tight since 7th grade. Hold on. And so we get in the car, yeah, Andy's car, and we start driving around. You know, just fooling around, having a good time. Yelling out the window at old white ladies. It always freaks him out. Yeah, he was drinking, all except BJ. He don't drink. He had put about 4 6-packs in the trunk of Andy's car before the game. Since the weather's been so cold, putting them in the trunk was as good as a cooler, so they was nice and frosty by the time we got to him. Yeah, all of us was drinking, except BJ. Like I said, but Andy probably had the most. He was in a real good mood, because this girl named Keisha had started going with him, and he was going over to her house after he took us home. After a while, the car started to sway, but I wasn't sure if it was getting me dizzy or if the car really was weaving across the expressway. At the time, it seemed really funny. We was laughing so hard, especially when people started honking at us. The more they tried to signal us and I guess warn us, the more we was cracking up and laughing. Rob had his feet up on the dashboard, partly acting silly, and partly because his legs was so long that they got cramped in that little car of Andy's. Me and BJ was in the back seat. I was sitting right behind Andy, and BJ was sitting next to me behind Rob, because he had the shortest legs, and Rob could push the seat all the way back. All right, I'm on page 13, and so we're to this point on page 13, so make sure you're caught up. Then, all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, this wall was in front of us. Like it just jumped out in front of the car, and Andy was trying to find the brakes with his foot, and then there was glass everywhere and this crunching, grinding sound. My door flew open and I rolled out. I remember I was crying and crawling on my hands and my knees. That's the only thing that got hurt on me. I got glass in my hands and at my knees. I got to my feet and I helped Andy out of the front seat. His head was bleeding pretty bad, and he was holding his chest like he couldn't breathe so good. I think he hit the steering wheel pretty hard. He could smell gas real strong. It made me dizzy, like the gas station smell when some lady don't know when to stop and she spills gas all the inside of her car. By that time, BJ had gotten out, and we was looking for Rob. He must have passed out at first, because all of a sudden we hear this screaming. We ran around to that side, but the door was bent shut, and we couldn't get it open. All of us was screaming by that time, because we could see his feet sticking through the windshield. His legs was cut and bleeding real bad. All right, now we're on page 14. So make sure that you're with me on this one, because this is a lot of detail about the accident, and it really helps you visualize what's going on. All we could see was these brand new Nikes sticking out of the window, with the rest of Rob screaming and hollering stuck inside. So then Andy and BJ climb on top of the car and try knocking pieces of the windshield away so we can get Rob out of the way. And then we hear this heavy, thick sound, like an explosion in a closed room, and Andy and BJ's knocked off the hood. Me and BJ grab Andy then, and we have to hold him back because the whole car is in flames, and Rob is still stuck inside, and we can hear him screaming, Andy, Andy, help me, oh God, please don't let me die like this, Andy. He screamed what seemed like a long time. Then it was real quiet. All we could hear was the sound of the flames, the little pieces of the car sizzling and burning, and then the sirens of the police car. I think I passed out then. That's what I remember. And that's what I'll never be able to forget. Whew. Yikes. All right, so that finishes page 14, and that is also chapter 4. All right, so you need to finish on your worksheet. Chapter 4 is that last little chunk right here. Chapter 4, Memories of Fire. So ask yourself, first of all, what is the genre? How is it written? And circle the correct one. What is the author's purpose? Is it to persuade, inform, or entertain us as the audience? And explain why. How do you know that that is the correct answer? So once you have your worksheet totally done, so now you've done all 4 chapters, 1 through 4, make sure that gets turned into Ms. Pittman, and then move on to the next work that you guys have on your checklist, okay? So good work today, you guys. I hope that you are really visualizing the book, because we're going to jump into it a little bit further next week now that we're all caught up. All right? See you guys.